Vera and I have celebrated 90 years of marriage. That's 45 for her and 45 for me. I told that to a group in Ocala one time, and somebody in the audience said, I bet hers has been longer. And that's probably true. He mentioned that we have 2 children. We have a daughter and a son. Our daughter is adopted. Our son is not. We tried to find someone to adopt him, and it just never did work out. Not too long ago, I had an occasion to go to an optometrist. Went to the doctor's office, and so I sat down and waited a while, and finally she told me, they said, you can come on back, Mr. Beauchamp, I'm sorry about your weight. I said, well, you don't look so skinny yourself. When I got in to see the doctor, he said, what seems to be your problem? I said, doctor, I keep seeing spots in front of my eyes. He said, have you seen another doctor? I said, no, just spots. And I said, I don't know if it's related or not, but I'm having trouble with my hearing too. He said, what? I said, doctor, I'm having trouble with my hearing. He said, oh, what you need is a good hearing aid. Why don't you get one like mine? What kind is it? He said, it's about 10, 15. He gave me a prescription for these glasses. Well, not these glasses. The first pair I only had them about 10 days. Sat on them and broke them. I don't think it improved my hindsight at all. I called back down to the doctor's office and talked to that friendly receptionist. Told her I'd broken my glasses. I said, does that mean I'll have to be examined all over? And she said, no, just your eyes. Vandals broke into the police station in McClenny and destroyed all of their restroom fixtures. An investigation continues, but at this time, police have nothing to go on. So you can find humor almost anywhere. To be here tonight, I'm reminded of a pastor who came before his congregation one Sunday morning, looked out over the crowd and very solemnly said, someday every member of this congregation is going to die. There was a man 3 or 4 rows back on the right-hand side of the sanctuary there, and broke into laughter. It disturbed the preacher, and he looked over there at him. He said, would you mind standing up and telling these people what you find so funny about that statement? He got up and he said, I'm not a member of this congregation. Went to one of the bush pilots there and said, we want you to fly us into this lake. And they had a map and showed him the lake on the map. He looked at the map and he said, no, I can't fly you into that lake. It's too small. I wouldn't be able to get my plane in and out there. They said the pilot we had last year took us to that very same lake. He said, well, I guess if the other pilot can, I can too. So let's load up. They loaded up and went in. It was a close call, but he landed on the lake, taxied over to the little dock, let them out. They said, you come back in 3 days and we'll be ready to go. 3 days later, plane came back. They were out there on the dock. They had their camping gear, the hunting gear, and 3 large elk. Pilot said, what do you plan to do with the elk? Said, we're going to put them on the plane. You're not putting them on my plane. I had enough trouble getting in and out the way it was. He said, the pilot we had last year let us put 3 elk about the same size as these on this plane. How did he do it? So we put one on the tail section and one on each pontoon. He said, well, if he could do it, I guess I can. So they loaded them up. They got out on the lake. The plane strutted and grunted and groaned and finally lifted off the lake and almost cleared the tops of the trees, but it clipped one of the trees and the plane went down. And one of the farmers was unconscious for a while, about 20 minutes, but he came to. He was looking up in his buddy's face, and he says, where are we? He said, we're about 75 yards farther than we were last year. Billy Ray says, Cecil, why don't you go to town, get that lumber we need, and buy some Pepsi Colas before you come back? He said, all right, I'll do it. And he went down to, back then there was Beauchamp Hardware lumber yard. My cousin Jerry Beauchamp was working in there at the time, and Cecil came in wearing a cowboy boot on his left foot. He was as barefooted as a yard dog on his right foot, and was walking with a slight limp. Now, I don't wear cowboy boots myself because I can't bend my knees when I do. But I don't wear a cowboy hat either. It makes me look like a mushroom. Jerry looked at him and said, Cecil, looks like you've lost a boot. He said, no, I found one.